that's actually a great transition into our next quarterback. Would Deshaun Watson replace Sam Darnold? And if so, where do you think Sam Darnold could end up?
All right, I don't want to be that guy, but I just think he should stay with the Jets. um, no, but in all seriousness, I just don't think the Jets should move him. And I don't even know what Donald's thinking. I think he wants to stay in New York, but I think he's that type of guy where if they moved on from him, I would totally understand why. But I just think the Jets would make a mistake in the draft drafting a quarterback because you know what you have in Darnold. And I know that it hasn't been great so far, but then again, they have not surrounded him with any talent. And I know he's been kind of on and off the field dealing with injury issues, but I just think Donald should want to stay in New York. And if he were to leave, then I think it would kind of backtrack him a little bit. But then again, it's not in his hands.
So, Jeffrey, I kind of agree with you. I think he's going to end up staying. So that's like, I have a different team I want to throw out there. What if Sam Darnold went back out to California and with the 49ers? There's a rumor that they're thinking about, moving on from Jimmy G. I mean, I don't know where they stand as far as the quarterback position go, but I think it would be good for him to go to the 49ers, honestly. Like Kyle Shanahan, I said it before, great offensive coach. I mean, he was able to work with Nick Mullins. I mean, obviously, Sam Darnold is way more talented than Nick Mullins does. So I'm just saying, maybe if he goes out there, he could change his career. We've seen quarterbacks. Look at Drew Brees. Went from the Chargers to the Saints. Great offensive mind, Sean Payton. Completely turned his career around. Who knows?
You guys keep taking my picks. I was definitely going to say the San Francisco 49ers as well, because I remember back when Darnold was coming out of USC, Kyle Shanahan said that he was extremely intrigued by Sam Darnold's talent. And as now Jimmy pointed out, he's the head coach of the 49ers. And I just think it would be a great fit for Sam Darnold. He's got the weapons around him. He's got a great defense. He has running backs galore. And if there's going to be a place that he was going to turn his career around, it would have to be in San Francisco. And I definitely think San Francisco is done with Jimmy G. But we'll get to him in a moment. The next one I want to throw out, Jimmy, where do you think that Carson Wentz is going to end up?
I mean, like, they've been shopping him for so long, right? I mean, this has been like an ongoing thing. Like, I feel like if a team really wanted Carson Wentz that bad, they would have made a move. But I see no way that he actually stays. So the one team that I think everybody kind of thinks that he's going to go to is the Colts, right? But you know who I think he's going to go to? The Bears. I think the Bears might actually do this trade.
Imagine if the Eagles get Foles back.
I know I saw that Foles would go back to the Eagles. That would be like the perfect love triangle for Valentine's Day, right? Nick Foles comes back to the city where he won a Super Bowl. But yeah, I could see Carson going to the Bears. I really could.
Nick Foles and the Eagles certainly deserve each other on Matchmaker's Day.
That's true. They do.
Oh, it's a match made in heaven for sure. But if I had to pick a team, I'm going to pick the Colts. I actually think the Broncos are a dark horse team to get them, but I don't think they will get them. But I'm just going to take the Colts because of the familiarity with Frank Reich. I just think it's a match made in heaven. We all know how Wentz played under Frank Reich in 2017. They won the Super Bowl. And I just think if he reunited with Reich in Indianapolis, I just think he could help Wentz not only mentally, but just with the easy fundamental basics. Because I just think when you watch him play, he just messes up the easy throws. He just has way too many incomplete passes in the 5 to 10 yard range, and not to mention his awful decision making. That's a whole other story. But I think if he went to Indy, he could revive his career.
Jeff, two things really quick about Carson Wentz. Number one, he was always dealing with so much pressure last season. He was always under duress. Now, I understand Jalen Hurts came in the same situation and had a good season, right? Like he played well in those couple of games under the same circumstances. So I understand that, but I think he also needs a chance, and especially with a chance with a team with a good offensive line like the Colts. The Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Secondly, if the Broncos get Carson Wentz, I will lose my mind. Like Carson Wentz, I don't think he's a good quarterback at all. Like I think he's done. Like as far as he goes, I understand why teams want to take a chance on him because they need a starter. They're desperate. He was an MVP candidate. We all remember how great a season he was having before he got hurt in Los Angeles with the knee injury. But I really just don't think he's the same quarterback. If the Broncos get him, they're going to be wasting a lot of money on a guy who I just don't think is very good.
I agree, and I think the pairing of him with Vic Fangio, because Fangio is a defensive guy, I think that'd be a very interesting pair. I feel like it'd be the type of pair that could just be hit or miss.
Well, it's not just Vic Fangio. Think about it's Pat Shermer because that's
It's
who run
really
the offense.
sure.
And Pat
Yeah.
Shermer, I don't even know what to make of him. He has awesome year with Case Keenum, and then somehow he makes Eli Manning like really struggle. I mean, was he that great for Danny Dimes? No. Drew Lock, his year, he had an awesome beginning, and then he comes with Pat Shermer and he falls off completely. I don't know if it worked. I don't know if that would benefit Carson.
We could have
All
a
right.
whole another show on Pat Shermer, but that's for another day.
All right. I'm for Carson Wentz. I'm going to go with something you guys might not expect. I think Carson Wentz, from the reports that I've heard, not saying I have sources, but from other media outlet sources that I've heard, Carson Wentz is not the most beloved guy in the Eagles locker room. He's not the greatest leader. He might have the arm talent and the quarterback strength, but he's not the type of guy who's going to be leading the team into the playoffs. So I think he needs to go to a team that already has an established culture, already has a big leader, ahead, and is looking for a quarterback. And you might not know this, but the Oakland Raiders are shopping Derek Carr on the market. And I think Carson Wentz, under the tutelage of John Gruden, could have a real bounce back year in Las Vegas. I think the offensive line in Vegas is great. The talent around him is great. They've got running backs. They've got Josh Jacobs, and they've got wide receivers. And I think that, if anyone deserves a shot with Carson Wentz, I think it's John Gruden and the Raiders.
I completely agree with you, Con. I did not think of the Raiders as a potential destination for Wentz, but after hearing what you said, I could totally see Gruden reviving him. I totally agree.
I could see that too. Good offensive line, good running back, and Derek Carr has flourished under John Gruden. So
Also,
I
if that
mean,
were to happen, they play the Eagles next year. That'd be something.
I think the Raiders need a little bit of a change in the clubhouse, and I think moving from Carr to Wentz might be it. Speaking of changes, though, here's a guy that I think all three of us agree is on his way out of town. Jimmy Garoppolo. Where do you think he's going to end up, Jeffrey?
I think he's going to go to New England, or he should go to New England. And I know Jimmy's probably going to say that. You know what? I'm going to let Jimmy talk about New England. I'm going to change mine. Okay. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. And this might be completely far-fetched, just out of the window. But I mean, assuming the Texans trade Watson, I mean, they're going to need someone. I think Garoppolo could step in there. They've got like a decent receiving core, assuming they keep like Will Fuller and I think Brandon Cooks and other people. But I don't know. I think Garoppolo having the keys to Houston kind of rebuild mode. I know that's something that he probably doesn't want to do, but I don't know. I think Houston could be a destination where he wouldn't have too much pressure to win right away. So I think it could be good. I'll let Jimmy have New England.
I completely agree with New England. I like that a lot. Belichick brings back players all the time that he had. I mean, he brought Deion Branch back at one point. He brought back, on and off some other corners too. You think about the McCourty bros. He's brought them on and off. I could totally see Jimmy Garoppolo going back there. I really could. I think Belichick's comfortable. The Patriots are desperate for a quarterback, right? They're desperate. Cam Newton's done. He's done with the team. Is Jarrett Stidham going to be their guy? I don't know. I mean, I felt like if Belichick had the confidence in Jarrett Stidham, he would have played him last year because there was certainly an opportunity to. But I could totally see Garoppolo going back to New England. And frankly, I think the Patriots would be down for it.
I like that you compared bringing back Garoppolo to bringing back Deion Branch for 6 games in 28.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the greatest comparison. I was just trying to think of guys who have came back, and the point is that they've come back.
Sure, I understand completely what you're going for, but I'm going to pivot in a different direction. I certainly think Jimmy G could end up in New England, but I don't think he will. I think he fits better, and I think he would be more appreciated playing for the Washington football team, actually. I think we've seen the end of the line for Alex Smith. I don't think he's officially retired yet, but I would be shocked if he didn't retire. And we know Ron Rivera is got a team that thinks they can contend now. They just won the NFC East. They've got an unbelievably good defense, right? They have a little bit of tools on offense, but they'll probably rebuild through the draft. And I think Ron Rivera wants to go for it now, and he needs a grown-up playing quarterback, a guy who's not going to be making mistakes Like that's the reason why they got rid of Haskins. He was an off-field distraction and he made too many mistakes. He turned the ball over too much. And Jimmy Garoppolo might not be the flashiest player in the world with the most skill, but he certainly is an effective game manager. We saw it last year with San Francisco. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl. So I think that's a match made in heaven for Jimmy.
Can I say one thing to Ron Rivera before we go on to our next quarterback?
Yep.
You're welcome, because we benched Hurts in that final game. So you're welcome. That's all I'm going to say.
You don't think the Washington football team would have won?
You guys got a lot of flack for
I think
that.
the way Hurts was playing in the game, we were up at halftime. I think we were going to win that game, but that's just out of the window now.
I don't know about that, Jeffrey.
All right, man. All right.
That's a little bit of a hot take.
Sorry, Giants fans.
Listen, the Giants fans should have no beef. They went 6-10. If they were this great of a team in the playoff team that they all think that they were, they would have won the games they needed to. Maybe if Evan Ingram could catch a pass against the Eagles, maybe they wouldn't have to worry about Jalen Hurts being benched.
Keeping his balance.
Yeah.
The Giants certainly had no one to blame but themselves for the way their season ended.
I know.
Danny Dimes. I like him. I think they're going to run it back with him, but
yeah, probably.
I'm not expecting that much out of them. All right. Next and probably final quarterback. Also sticking in the NFC East. Where do you think Dak Prescott is going to end up, Jimmy?
Geez. I think he ultimately will stay with the Cowboys. So that's going to be my answer. I mean, the Cowboys can't afford to lose Dak Prescott. You saw how bad they were once he got injured, right? I mean, I think it made him seem even more valuable, right? I mean, he, in my eyes, if you look at how the Cowboys were before and after, they were like two different teams. They were horrendous after. Now, they eventually figured out, won a couple games, almost snuck into the playoffs. Thankfully, they didn't, though, because the last thing we need is Cowboy fans in the playoffs. But, I think just how the whole season went spoke to Dak's value, because the offense was not nearly the same. And Colin, I remember this was last football season. You had said, you thought Dak Prescott was a really high caliber quarterback. And you even said that he belonged in the MVP race because of how great a season he was having. And I disagree with that. But I look at that now and I do realize there's a lot of value in a player like him. The team would not be the same at all if they didn't have Dak Prescott.
Jeffrey, what do you think?
I think a match made in heaven for Dak Prescott is the Washington football team. Now, hear me out. Obviously they need a quarterback. Alex Smith is literally and figuratively, it's so sad, but he's literally and figuratively on his last legs. And Dak Prescott would be a perfect fit in Washington for a multitude of reasons. Number one, they clearly need an upgrade there. Number two, when healthy, knock on wood, he's a top 10. You could put him in like the top 8, top 7. He was in the MVP conversation, I believe, in 2019. I mean, at least in my book. And he's very efficient. And you saw what he did with weapons. I mean, he made Amari Cooper a top-tier receiver. And I know that he and Zeke didn't get along too well just on the field. I just didn't think he got a lot out of Zeke as much as he should have. But I think if he went to Washington, I mean, they've got Terry McLaurin, who's coming up as one of these top young receivers. And I know they've got Gibson at running back. If they just add a few more weapons, and they've also have Logan Thomas at tight end, who was pretty good last year. I think Prescott at Washington would be great because I think he would fit their culture. I think he and Rivera would be a match made in heaven. I just think they would get along really well. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I agree. It would work, but that's not who I picked. I'm going to go quick so we can finish before 2. But I think Prescott to the Bears makes the most sense. The Bears, as we know, are looking for a new quarterback. I don't think the Cowboys are bringing it back. I think the Cowboys are looking at a rebuild at the moment. They committed the mortal NFL sin of paying players too early and not locking up their quarterback. And I think it's going to come back to bite them. I think they need to get rid of Cooper. They need to get rid of Zeke, trade him for picks, tear the whole thing down and restart. And I think Dak is going to be too expensive, and you want to play in the NFL with guys on their rookie deals at quarterback. And so I think Dak to the Bears makes the most sense. They're a team built to win now who just need that final finishing piece. And I think Dak could be it.
Yeah, that would be